I want to play a clip for you from last night's presidential debate where ABC News' Lindsay Davis actually became a debate participant when she said the following after Donald Trump pressed Kamala Harris on her support of abortion up until birth and beyond.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born. Madam Vice President, I want to get your response to President Trump.
Well, as I said, you're going to hear a bunch of lies. And as you rightly mentioned, nowhere in America is a woman carrying a pregnancy to term and asking for an abortion. That is not happening. It's insulting to the women of America.
Oh, that's a fair fight. Two women and one man against Donald Trump. All right, let's fact check ABC. 21 states allow abortion until birth. All right. 15 states have no laws protecting babies that are born alive after a failed abortion. In those states, the baby who's born alive dies. Of course, there's evidence to suggest that in some cases they're left to die. In other cases, they're not left to die. They are assisted in dying. Joining me now to discuss this is Melissa Ohden, founder and director of the Abortion Survivors Network. She herself is a survivor of a botched saline infusion abortion. Melissa, welcome back to Washington Watch.
Thanks so much, Tony.
All right, let me get your reaction to Lindsay Davis's comments last night refuting President Trump when he pressed Kamala Harris.
Well, if we want to use the word insulting, I think I can speak on behalf of our population of survivors to say it's insulting to be told that this doesn't happen and that these kind of things just simply, we don't exist. This is the most marginalized, silenced population that I know of in our world today. And the fact that the media gets away with quote unquote fact checking and still denying our existence when there are not only stories of survivors and the moms who went through it, clinic workers, abortionists, but we have research, Tony, that is talking about second trimester abortion and live births. And yet they're still trying to say this doesn't happen.
Well, let's talk a little bit about some of those facts, because even though there's just a handful of states that actually report on this, we still have some numbers that show very clearly this does happen.
We do. And, in the 10 states that we're looking at, we see about 270 reported cases. And I want to be clear about something. The other side loves to say that this doesn't happen, and that's why we don't even report it anymore. But if folks even go to these maps that you guys updated today, so thank you so much for updating those maps. When people look at the overlay of what abortion laws are and where states have repealed abortion protection, so New York, Illinois, Minnesota, folks can clearly see this is not an anomaly. We know what the playbook of the abortion industry and lobby is: unregulated, unrestricted abortion and stripping born alive reporting and rights. This is not a coincidence, Tony. They know exactly what they're doing. They know that unrestricted abortion leads to live births after abortion, and they simply don't want to report it, and they don't want to acknowledge the fact that therefore children like me are not being provided medical care.
Let's talk about that element of the non-reporting, because that also was brought up in last night's debate. Now, there have been measures that have been introduced into Congress that would require states to report on various elements of abortion, because states are not required to report this information. So it's hard to have accurate data. So one of the charges, one of these false charges from Kamala Harris against Donald Trump, is that he wants the government to monitor pregnancies and miscarriages. I mean, this, like, as if some big brother is going to be, watching what you do in terms of your pregnancy. This is the reporting aspect. They're trying to make this radioactive so that that data will not be reported, so that we will not know, as you were just saying, what they're doing.
Absolutely. Dr. Willard Cates of the CDC said this decades ago, right? Essentially, he said, you know what, these go underreported because we know what would happen, the public clamor that would happen if the public knew how often this was happening. And so, this is where I want to encourage people to not only think for themselves, but question the media. And for those of us who know the truth, be willing to have these conversations with friends and family to say, listen, I know you think you know, but I got to encourage you to live with this cognitive dissonance and understand that there's more to this story than what you're hearing even in these debates. And what I would encourage people to do, our website, abortionsurvivors.org, is being redesigned. It's going to be incredible in about 3 weeks. But what you're going to see in it are tons of white papers, because we are spending a lot of time going through data from other countries who do have pretty strong statistics when it comes to born alive births. And some of that I was putting out on social media last night and even today. And what I want people to understand is there are clear research studies looking at second trimester abortions and what they want to do to prevent live births from it. So they're talking about feticide, injecting dioxygen into the heart. And they were comparing and contrasting what the live birth rates look like, how they delivered that shot. So I need ABC to take a look at this and maybe school themselves.
It's amazing what they will do to cover this up. We just have about a minute and a half left. Melissa Ohden, talk about these children, these babies that are born alive. I mean, this is the issue. The late-term abortion, a child survives an abortion, born alive. What happens to them in those states where there are no protections for those babies?
Minnesota is a really sad example of that, Tony. This story is out on YouTube, thanks to Brian Gibson and his team. But I got to meet a mom a number of years ago at an event and hug her. She's a mom much like my own biological mother, whose abortion failed. In this mother's circumstance, she was at an abortion clinic in St. Paul, and that dioxygen shot to the heart did not end her child's life. They realized through ultrasound that it didn't. And the abortion clinic staff said, right, in circumstances like this, we would break the baby's neck.
Wow.
This is the reality that people need to face, and we need to do something with it.
Yeah, and just a couple more factoids for this is that Tim Walz, as the governor, there was provisions put in place to protect unborn babies that were born alive, to actually minister health care to them. He repealed that. He signed the repeal as governor. Kamala Harris, twice in the United States Senate, voted against protections for children who are born alive. The left clearly stands on this side, the other side of this, and they do not want the world to know what they're really all about. Melissa Ohden, I want to thank you for joining us, and keep up the great work.
Thank you.